And we are back. Happy 2026. BOBBYFI, Eric Sheets-Haber. We're going to be talking through some NFL for the weekend slate. We'll talk through game by game, but we'll be using the six game slate as a sort of a reference point. But there's a lot to go through. Um, I talked to you guys a little bit about yesterday. I had a very nice family time for the holidays. Sheets, how were your holidays? And talk a little bit about what you did.
Holidays were good. Had a little bit of variance coming back from Puerto Rico. Nothing to do with the Venezuela stuff, but it's funny when I was there, like there was actually like all flights were banned from to and from the Caribbean for like 2 days. But we were already there, so we were actually ran really hot as far as that goes. But we had some variances prevent us from getting out till yesterday, but we got back and that was fine. But the trip was amazing. Few things to update everybody on, sports wise, really. So, we're going to be going over the 6 game NFL slate, and I've been looking at these NFL games in like a lot of different lights over the last like several weeks. So let me update you on a couple of things I may have mentioned to you. So first of all, want to congrat my friend, an old college friend who ended up coming in 7th in that Circa Millions contest. It was against the spread all year long. Literally, like one of my oldest friends from college. And I don't know if you ever met. Did you meet him when he came to LA? Maybe to Vegas. Maybe not.
I don't think so.
No. And so he ended up coming in 7th for like 200,000, which was great. And then it was really funny. It turns out that there was another guy who got 2 in the top 10 who I used to back in poker. Do you remember Dan Martin, Recchi from online?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So he got He got like 6th and 8th or something like that. So that was great. So I've been following the against the spread stuff, just because I've been helping him. Advising him wherever along the way. And then also like I'm on these like really like weird hybrid survivor pools that started off in the regular season that are extending into the playoffs. So I've been really focusing on the games and not just like the DFS part. And then not only that, but I couldn't help it if like can't beat them, join them. I went and I played some like best ball for the playoffs and stuff like that. So I'm kind of into the slate, into the games in general. Not to mention this FPC thing, which I've been working on, which I'm going to do a separate video on at 2:00. So a lot of hashtag football in my brain right now, which, as you know, I don't like. So that'll be over soon. Actually, it's going on for a while. So why don't we just go ahead and just share your screen?
I'll share my screen and we'll get into it. I think it should be a fun playoffs because it's really strange when you have like the favorite is or basically the co-favorite is a 5 seed, and and that just shows you how wide open things are. And then we get my Rams. Not a beautiful time slot for my guys. I was kind of hoping for a little bit of one of the afternoon or evening games, but it is what it is. The massive favorite. I believe that since they were at least in the last 20 years, the biggest road favorite in playoff history in the last 20 years or the last 20 years of playoff history. So we've got to think about this from a lot of different angles, right? From a showdown, from a 2-game slate, from the 6-game.
Approaching it from the 6-game slate theory. Okay, first of all, remember we're spreading across 3 days. You're going to have 2 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday, and 1 game on Monday. And normally you would say, okay, you want to overweight like late stuff, but unfortunately the last game is the worst. Like Houston Pittsburgh is like the lowest total by a lot. So you're not really going to be playing too much in that game anyway. Right. I don't think. Listen, you could play. Obviously, you could play Nico Collins. You could do some stuff, but there's certainly better games. But let's talk about this first game for a minute because, as you know, I'm particularly annoyed. Okay.
This was your downfall
with this matchup because I had the Rams with all kinds of equity. All they had to do was go into freaking Carolina and win. And they went in there and it was freaking raining, okay? And it was like one of just the weirdest games I think I've ever seen. Like the Carolina could not stop the Rams like at all, okay? And yet somehow like Carolina, whenever they had like a 3rd and 11, they were able to get out of Dodge and get first downs. And the Rams defense was not great. they were slipping a little bit. The weather was kind of crappy, and Bryce Young was very evasive. They completed like a couple of ridiculous fourth downs or whatever, and then even still at the end, you had the Rams come down the field, and they were down 3 with like 2 or 3 minutes to go. I figured, okay, worst case they get a field goal, but they'll probably get a touchdown. I kind of stalled, and on 3rd and 10 from like the 15, Stafford got sacked and fumbled, and then not only that, but they gave up a crucial, either it was a 3rd or 4th down to Carolina to close the game out. Next thing you know, I'm like, they really just lost to Carolina, and that actually happened. And so now you have this game, which is the exact same, or as far as like setup goes. It's a game the Rams should win. It's in the stupid freaking weather again, okay? Because apparently the weather's going to be the same. It's going to be raining. It's going to be gross, okay? And McVay, he just wants to get out of Dodge with this because here you have the same thing. You have everybody saying the same thing. Well, every game's kind of close, but then you have this Rams game, like a 10-point road favorite, and he just wants to get down to business and get out of this game. So there's first of all, if they have a chance to blow them out, they're gonna just do it and get it over with. You know what I mean? Like this is no more screwing around here. You know now they fortunately they have arrested Davante Adams, okay, which is nice. And they're bringing their dudes, and I think even Corum's healthy. You know, so we're healthy enough. So they listen. They should win, and you know they should win. You know, by 10 or whatever. And from a fantasy perspective, you have Nakua just for openers. You know, like, and he's gonna be, you know, project probably like significantly higher than everybody else. I'm just looking at Sabres and whatever, and you'd like to think that the Rams are going to lean on their best player, who is Puka. So it's certainly a good place to start. The other thing about the Rams, though, is I would normally say, you know what, let's also consider what's his name, Kyron Williams, but Corum back, it's kind of split still. You know what I mean? So the only thing I would say about Nakua, I mean, if you're wanting any kind of negative, I guess, is that when they get around the goal line or they get close, it's really Davante Adams' role, you know, like, you know, so Davante Adams being back negatively impacts both, like the running backs and to some extent Nakua, you know, so that's not to say don't play him, but listen, there are paths where Nakua only gets 20, you know what I mean? Yeah. Which still might be enough. So I do like it. I do like on the other side, just from game script, I do like Tet McMillan, just as, you know, because they're going to listen, the way the game's supposed to go, they're supposed to be behind and they're supposed to be passing, and he's their top guy. Coker's, you know, decent value as well, but I think from the game, you know, listen, you start with Nakua and McMillan, and I think those are the best plays, and I'd probably make sure to play both of them. I mean, I have to play both of them, but those would be the two guys that I would really focus on.
Sure. I'm having a little, like, I have a lot of interest in the Rams, and it goes pretty deep, actually. The thing about I hear you about the Corum thing, and this you know, as a Rams fan, you hear the different chatter going both ways. Is it going to be like Corum? Are we going to see even more of Corum in the postseason? I actually do think that it's something people do where you want to have your best legs available, like going. And I still think that's Kyron Williams, but I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, I would be using Corum all over the place in like showdown. Maybe on the 2-game slate, I'll use a bunch of Corum. The other ones are the tight ends for the Rams, which we have to talk about because Higbee and Ferguson are both questionable. Even if they both play, I like Higbee. I think Higbee is clearly the number one with the highest upside, but I wouldn't cross off any of these guys. And you're not going to get much of them on the 6-game slate, but on the 2-game slate, I think you'll see me with. I would rank it Higbee, Ferguson, Parkinson. Then I don't think I would get to Davis Allen, but I think they're all kind of interesting. And then we'll talk about it on the FPPC thing. I think that like for those tournaments, like the long shots of like Xavier Smith and Kanata Mumpfield are reasonable guys to take a shot on, just because one, the Rams may make it pretty deep, but more for this, I just want to mention them for showdown. I think that there is a lot of upside. They will play, when they do play the 3 wide receiver sets, you've seen Mumfield and Smith get some separation. And it's one thing that, Adams is a great receiver. Puka's a great receiver. Puka doesn't get a ton of separation outside of zone coverage in general. And they do have the Xavier Smith and the Mumfield who can do that. So I'm kind of interested in like being overweight the Rams in general here. And on the 2-game slate, like I said, playing the backups, is certainly an appealing way to get different. On the Carolina side, I'm not especially interested in the passing game. I will mention they ran all over the Rams, and I would say the same thing for the 2-game slate. I think you want to play some Chuba Hubbard, and I think that and for Showdown. And then for the main slate, I think Rico Dowdle is very reasonable, along with you mentioned Ted McMillan. Coker would be the next guy, followed by Leggett. But definitely a lot of guys I have interest in on a slate that doesn't like – we have one game that stands out from a total standpoint. But this game you could see – we've already seen it put up, 60 points the first time they played. I could see that happening again, and it might be 40 to 20 Rams, but I think there's pieces you'd want, and that's sort of the way I have them ranked.
Yeah, you got a 50-point total, a 37-point total pretty much, and everything else is 46.
Right.
So speaking of which, so Green Bay, Chicago, I think that one of the things that you could be sure of, I guess, is that Colston Loveland is going to get jammed in the 2-game slate at least at tight ends. That to me is pretty clear. But anyway, let's talk about the game first. As usual, and I've been saying this for 2 full seasons now, Green Bay is just given mad respect, like by odds makers or whatever. You talk about, the Rams as a 5 seed or whatever, they're one of the favorites. When you have the Packers, who's a 7, who is it depends on where you go. There's in some place they're like a 1-point favorite.
Right.
Over the 2 on the road, which I don't know if I've seen that. And the Packers, listen, they got a lot of respect in that way. And as far as my opinion on the game, I don't have one. I really want to just say, how the hell are the Bears at a home underdog here? You got Ben Johnson, F. Jordan Love, and the whole thing. But I just get a little nervous, so I'm not going to actually have an opinion on the game. DFS wise, a couple of things. First of all, I do think that the Bears are going to start the way they always have been starting recently and just trying to pound the rock. But if it's not going to work, and we saw it last week, we see it every week, then it goes, okay, Caleb, just go do your thing. So I think that these value receivers for the Bears between Burden and Loveland, I think are very, very strong. I think that in a 2-game slate, they're going to be jammed. But I think that in a 6-game slate, you can also play them. On the Green Bay side, you have one wide receiver issue. I think Wicks may or may not be questionable.
Wicks is questionable, yeah.
Yeah. But I like Watson. He's my favorite from there. And I wouldn't mind taking a shot at Josh Jacobs also. So I like Josh Jacobs. I like Watson for Green Bay. I don't think I would play Jordan Love. But in a 2-game slate, obviously you have to play him a little bit in the 2-game slate, but I don't know if I can get to him in the 6. But what do you think? Do you think the Bears are good? What do you think of this whole thing?
I think they're okay. I actually think I like the Packers here. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. It is also weird to beat a team twice and then be an underdog to them at home in the playoffs, as the Packers have looked. When they were still playing their guys, they looked. It was embarrassing what Derrick Henry was doing. So that is a little bit of a concern, but I like the Packers a little. I don't think it's I think it's very close for me. The one guy who just tends to get ignored, who is like their safety blanket and their safety valve, and seems to be the only receiver who doesn't get hurt on every play, maybe because he wears that giant helmet, and never gets owned, is Romeo Doubs.
I guess so.
So I will just keep beating the Romeo Doubs drum, and I will play him on the 6-gamer. I will play him on the 2-gamer. I think I'm a little I might even be higher on him than Jaden Reed, which is weird, and Jaden Reed is so cheap. He's such an obvious value piece. But I have it. Dobbs, Reed, and Watson are all interesting to me. I will probably come in a little bit underweight the Jacobs, although it makes me nervous because it's against the Bears and you can run on the Bears. He's just going to have so much chalk that it's going to, I mean, on the 2-gamer, it's going to be hard to get away from, but on the 6-gamer, I think there's other places you could take stabs at to potentially get there. He really hasn't looked right, for a while now. We sort of have called out the Emmanuel Wilson thing a few times. I'm not saying to play Emmanuel Wilson. I'm just saying I don't know that Jacobs looks quite right. Your 2-game play and your showdown play is Matthew Golden, one of the most talented players. I believe he will be the best receiver from this Green Bay crop, I believe he has a chance to be. I should put it that way. I think he's the whether Wicks plays or not, I think he's a really good play on the 2-game slate in the showdown. And then on the Bears side, I agree with what you said. They're going to try to run the ball at him. And hey, look, after what Derrick Henry did to them, and after what these guys did to them, I don't know that they can't. Maybe they really can. But no one's playing Monangai, and some people are going to play Swift, but even that's pretty low. I think the Bears running backs are both kind of interesting here. And if though that like somehow it ends up 14-0 early and the Bears can't run and they just stack the box against them, which I think they're going to try to do, you might be getting like an unowned Caleb Williams passing game outside of. I mean, Colston Love. I'm not showing with a lot of love. No pun intended. I'm not seeing a lot of love for him. I think Luther Burden is like one of the easiest plays on the slate, and I love the idea of an unowned Dunze if he plays. Which he'll have some ownership if he plays. But if he doesn't play, then I like going right to Moore. So Bears wide receivers are TBD for me. So a lot to find out with the Adunze Moore information. If Adunze is good to go and he's going to have low ownership, even if you tell me he's limited play wise, I just think there's such big play potential. I think you got to take some shots. But pretty much no matter what, I think I'm interested in Luther Burden. They've definitely developed something with him, and I love the Manon guy for the 2-gamer. I might go with a lot of backup running backs on the 2-gamer on Saturday.
Okay, so heading into Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So you have like two pretty awesome games, honestly. So Buffalo, Jacksonville, San Francisco, Phillies, and then you have the
three.
What? Yeah, and then, 2 really good games. Then I think the Charge in New England, whatever. I could do that one.
Really?
Yeah,
I like that one.
So what I was going to say is that, like in the 6-game slate, I really think that just an enormous chunk of the running back ownerships are from these first 2 games. Okay, I think that between Cook, Etienne, McCaffrey, and Barkley, I think those are the 4 guys that are going to. And it's kind of cool because you're going to have to pick in the 2-game slate, in the 3-game slate for Sunday, which ones to use. Because you can make cases for obviously for all of them. I think that start with the Buffalo Jacksonville game. I mean, this could be a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Like you have Trevor Lawrence and Josh Allen, and both of them can just create a lot of havoc. Both positive and negative. And this game could just go freaking crazy. So I listen. This is not going to be any big secret, but I think that Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence, I think in the 2-game slate, in the 6-game slate, are going to be my 2 favorite quarterbacks. And as usual, I have no idea who to play Josh Allen with, but I think I just kind of learned my lesson. I don't care.
Whoever's there.
Whatever, just let him get his 40 somehow. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how it's going to get there, but it's just going to. And then you have the James Cook, and I think that Buffalo. I've been saying this all year. I mean, Buffalo had their way; they would just give the ball to James Cook every freaking play. So I do like Cook. I do like Josh Allen. I can't imagine receivers I would want to play. But Jacksonville, I mean, Trevor Lawrence. So listen, in fairness, they've been beating up on the worst. Okay, really, but they've been putting the freaking hammer on people. They're in groove, and as we've talked about, for seems like 2 years now, Buffalo defense doesn't scare me at all. So I like him, Trevor Lawrence. I like Etienne. I like really all the receivers. Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington, who's becoming like a stud like overnight. Even Brian Thomas, Strange, the tight end. So listen, I think this game is, based on the total and based on what I've seen, it should go off. Perfect weather in Jacksonville, I think. I guess. I mean, what do you think here?
Yeah, it's. I mean, this feels like the game we're supposed to target. Look, Sheets. I almost wanted you to close your ears because of I cannot. I have a bad feeling that I think Jacksonville. I mean, them being underdogs in this game, I really think that the league wants Josh Allen going forward. I'm not saying they're going to rig the game. I'm just saying that like borderline calls. I think you're going to see a lot go Buffalo's direction. And I like Josh Allen a ton, and I like Trevor Etienne. I think these are probably the two quarterbacks you want to use the most. I think that won't be like especially groundbreaking information.
Right.
Really like James Cook, and just again, he's been I think he's been the most valuable piece of the Bills. I mean, this is the best. Well, their offensive line might be their best thing, but yeah, I think Allen with Shakir, even Allen with Cook, I think is very reasonable. It's hard to know how to grade out with Dalton Kincaid, Ty Johnson, and Josh Palmer still questionable, because if they're out, I think we go right back to Brandon Cooks. And I think that we also take some shots with Gabe Davis.
Wow. Okay.
Those would be my bold takes. We've seen playoff Gabe Davis show up before. And Josh Allen obviously has a lot of familiarity with him. Gabe Davis, I believe, put up like the best wide receiver game in the history of the playoffs. I'm not 100% sure it's the best, but 260 yards and 4 touchdowns against Kansas City was a monster game a couple years back. So I like these. I do like the offenses here in this one. Along with what I thought would be even heavier chalk, but I do have Lawrence and Allen as the top two quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I don't like playing Travis Etienne. One, he doesn't run the ball. He's a benefit of passing plays. Now that works too. But it makes me nervous with Tootin in business. Because I know he's going to get some plays. So maybe on the Sunday slate, you could consider getting to a little Tootin at low ownership. But I am probably going to be underweight the Travis Etienne. Parker Washington has been unbelievable. But I'm going to go to the play of the day for this team. The one that could win you the $1 million is going to be Brian Thomas Jr. I know he has sort of fallen out of favor and hasn't been his best. That 4,700 price tag, I think there's tremendous upside. I really like Brian Thomas as a pairing, and I think you're going to need your best foot forward. Now, you can run the ball on Buffalo, so we'll see how it goes with the Etienne-Tootin combination. But I actually like Trevor Lawrence running the ball and then throwing it to a combination of Brian Thomas and Brenton Strange. I still believe Brian Thomas has elite skill set, and you see him projected so far behind Jacoby Myers and Parker Washington. I just don't think people are going to be making this play, and I will be going out of my way to get to Thomas and Strange. So Thomas and Strange are my favorite differentiators in this one, and Tootin on the 2-game slate. I'm sorry, the 3-game slate.
All right, so San Francisco, Philly. I've been thinking about this game a lot. All right, and let's start with San Francisco. I don't think Pearsall is playing. And so what that means to me is just the reality is that Christian McCaffrey is going to get the ball every time. You know what I mean? Like it's like every time he's in the game, he's going to get the ball. That's just the way it is. He's going to get 1,000 touches, and it's just going to be impossible for him to not get there. That's my unhot take of the day. Okay.
Yeah.
Whether they're up, down, whatever it is, whether he averages 2 yards a carry or 8, whether what no matter what the game script, he's getting 20 points like almost as a floor. That's my. I've just seen it too much this year. The guy's healthy, he's getting the ball. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the other thing that's a fact. That's one fact. The other thing I think is a fact, and you can correct me because you know this team a little better than I do, I guess. I mean, there's 6 teams here. Is there any team that has a worse defense than San Francisco right now?
No,
there's not. Right. So
I don't think
so. I mean. Can Saquon Barkley rush for 200 yards in this game? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that would probably eclipse his whole season right now if he did that. But I think I would love for San Francisco to beat Philly. I think everybody would love for anybody to beat Philly. I just don't see it. You know what I mean? I just think that Philly is just going to be able to move the ball too well against San Francisco. So I like these Philly guys. I mean, I like Barkley. I like AJ Brown. I like all the skill guys. I just don't think San Francisco has anything for them. And it's not like Philadelphia scored like at all this season, so I don't know where this is even coming from for me. But I just get the sense that Philly just puts up a freaking number here somehow. So I like all the Philly offenses, and listen, McCaffrey. It's again run back wherever you want to put this. That's fine. But I think San Francisco's in for a long day.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm just trying to double check the weather. 46. It's not like crazy bad. This is a strange thing to see because Brock Purdy, this projection, and I'll tell you by the end of the week, by Sunday, you'll see this projection higher. If you tell me nobody's playing Brock Purdy, I mean, one thing is we talked this all about McCaffrey. It's not like he's running the ball all over people. You know what I mean? It's not like he's running like crazy. He's catching 10 passes, and basically all of his stuff does correlate to Purdy. And Purdy has put up, I mean, throw away the game in Seattle, which who is just
where nobody can do anything.
Right. I think that there's like a pretty good case to be made for like, even if you like Philly to win, like to get a Purdy, McCaffrey, Kittle stack even.
Yeah. I've neglected to mention Kittle, obviously. And that's the other fact. That's the other place Purdy's going to go.
Right. Or if Pearsall's out, Jennings, you know what I mean? And there's something here. And by the way, if Pearsall's out, Kendrick Bourne as a dart is absolutely worth playing. With that size against a team, you're gonna have to get rid of the ball quickly. So I kind of like this as a little bit more of a contrarian game stack. Now, Philadelphia manages their ways to wins and all this stuff. I think San Francisco can score on almost anybody. I say almost anybody because what we just saw against Seattle. But I really think that if you tell me Brock Purdy's 2% owned, like if this game was in San Francisco, would he be like one of the highest owned quarterbacks? He might be.
Maybe.
And it seems like perception is driving a little too much for me. But I agree. The main point of this game is the Philly stack, the Philly hammer stack. I don't think San Francisco can stop anybody. Now, Philadelphia can stop themselves, so that's what happens. But I want all the pieces of it. I mentioned about being underweight some of these other spots. I'd like to be overweight basically everything in this game in general, especially on the Philly side. And that would start with the Barkley thing that's frustrating is, man, there's been so many opportunities in games that mattered for him to do it, and we just have not seen it. And I hate the play calling from Philly, just like all their fans do, which is really weird because they won the Super Bowl, so I guess it shouldn't matter. But I think we get our shares of AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, and you feel good about it. I think on the 3-game slate, I think Jahan Dotson is an interesting tournament dart, but I wouldn't play him on the 6-gamer. And I'm kind of into this game, and I think Philadelphia is significantly better than San Francisco, but a lot of teams that were significantly better than San Francisco beat. Tribute that to coaching or whatever it is. They've been really good in those situations. But either way, this should be a fantasy game that I think we're heavy on.
All right, and then the last game of the Sunday slate, Chargers.
What do you think about this game, by the way? I'm curious.
The Chargers, New England?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the other game that doesn't make any sense to me as far as the spread goes. So, like, one was the Chicago Green Bay game. Like, I really thought that, Chicago should be favored. They're home, whatever. But I know by now that Green Bay just gets a lot of love or whatever. Like, when I saw these matchups come out, I'm like, okay, New England -7, and we'll just see how it goes, whatever. And it's like only 3.5. I'm like, who the hell is taking the Chargers here? So I guess the Chargers are a lock. You know what I mean? I don't understand it literally at all. Do people still not believe that this New England team is amazing? I have no idea. So I'm ultra confused. If you ask me just like straight up, like what I think New England murders them. I have not been remotely impressed by a single Chargers performance like the whole season. And listen, it's fair enough. Maybe New England, when I see them, maybe they're playing bad teams, I guess.
They're always playing bad teams.
Yeah, but I mean, on the one hand, they did give up the big lead to Buffalo. Yet on the other hand, they got a big lead against Buffalo.
Yeah.
So I think Drake May is gonna have a big day. That's my opinion here. So I don't really like. I really think New England wins. I think their defense is good too. I mean, if you have to play Chargers, it's going to just have pieces, Gadsden and I don't know, Johnston, is he even playing? I have no idea.
Yeah, he's supposed to be.
Yeah. So, but listen, Travion Henderson is good, obviously, but Stevenson had a big game last week. So again, that's more of a split backfield. I wouldn't know what to do with that. I guess Hunter Henry is going to be the safe play from this game.
Mm-hmm.
May, Henry, you can play Diggs. Why not? But I don't know what I'm going to get on Chargers.
Yeah, so I love the Chargers here.
Okay, very good.
I wish their name was not the Chargers, because I've watched the Chargers blow a million games where I loved them, and including when they were up 29-0 against Jacksonville, and they ended up losing that game somehow a couple years ago in the playoffs. I think this sets up as a very good matchup for the Chargers. I'm just double checking the weather. Real quick.
All right.
I don't think I don't want this to happen, because I don't like. Look, this is one of the last 20 years. New England played the softest schedule in the history of football throughout 20 years. Whatever. They've beaten one team. They're 1-2 against teams with a winning record. And I think this is a real challenge. The Chargers have an elite pass defense. They have an elite run defense. Their coach, their defensive coordinator, is going to be a head coach somewhere next year. I'm pretty sure about that. I like them to say though, I don't know how they're going to do it, because I know Harbaugh's not your favorite DFS kind of a guy, especially in big games. He's gonna grind it out. He'll take his field goals. We don't know about Hampton's health. But I still feel like just the such low ownership on all these Chargers receivers. I will probably put Quentin Johnston as my favorite, but McConkey and Keenan Allen at no ownership. I think that's kind of interesting. I don't know what I'm going to do with it just yet. And on the 3-game slate on Sunday, I just do yourself a favor and make sure you have some Trey Harris. He's the guy who break it, and they've worked him in a little bit more. And he breaks one big play, not to mention that he's going to get some other looks on top of that. I think he's the one who could go wild. The problem is they've got 4 good receivers, so it's kind of hard to pick them. But the fact that nobody's owning any of this is kind of appealing to me. I like the Chargers in this game, and like I said, I have a feeling we get the bad Drake May. And I'm not saying that he's been great. This has nothing to do with MVP conversations or anything. I think this is going to be a tough matchup for him. Maybe he proves me completely wrong. I think this is going to be a tough spot. And because of it, I'm not especially interested in the passing game from New England outside of Hunter Henry. And however, I do have interest in Travion Henderson, because the Chargers will give up big plays. I think that I could talk myself into Travion Henderson. And I sort of was thinking about Booty and Douglas. On the 3-game slate or the showdown, maybe, even with their receivers healthy, I think take a shot with Kyle Williams. What has he been on? Like every showdown winning, he catches a 70-yard touchdown pass every time they're on showdown.
It's just nuts.
Every time. So at least for showdown, we could play Kyle Williams, I think. So anyway, yeah, maybe less DFS interest, but I do really like the Chargers in this game as of right now. That's where I'm at least.
Okay, so for those of you who've been following this channel, so to speak, like for the whole season, you guys all know what I'm going to say about this last game, okay? But if you don't, you you'll rewind like several instances exactly this exact same situation. Let me just go over first of all from a DFS perspective. Yeah, you can play Nico Collins. Always looks really good. Houston Texans defense, like totally elite, one of the top, if not top defense in the league. You can play Houston Texans defense against Rodgers with no receivers. Maybe Metcalf will be there or whatever. But here's the reality, okay? And I've said this 8 times this year, whatever. It seems that way. I don't care whether it's this year, last year, 1990s, 1980s, 1970s, 1960s. It doesn't matter who they have on their team. It doesn't matter what their record is. It doesn't matter who's injured. It doesn't matter who they're playing, okay? When you get these Steelers at home, at night, in front of their home fans on Monday Night Football, they just win. Okay, and that's just the bottom line. And
they can make the best kicker in football miss a 44-yarder for the win.
It's just the bottom line. Okay.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
They had a couple of them this year already when they were just dead. It looked like they were completely stone dead as a team. But it doesn't matter. It's like ridiculous whether it's a terrible house. Listen, say, okay, Boomer, this. I think Tom was like 100-0 as like a home dog on Monday Night Football or something like that.
It's crazy. It is an absurd number.
And that's the way I feel about this. I mean, look at last week, like you said. I mean, like they had no shot. I think it's like you talk about the NFL giving the call to the Josh Allen. They're like, oh no, we can't have the Steelers lose on Monday Night Football. This is not going to happen, even if it costs the Ravens a freaking playoff spot and maybe Harbaugh his job. You know, whatever it is. You know,
yeah, definitely did.
Right. So Tyler Hoop missing a 37-yard field goal. I mean, you think that happens if it's not in Pittsburgh? It's ridiculous.
Never not in Pittsburgh. No, that guy's like Mr. Automatic.
You know what I mean? So that's what's going to happen in the game. I have no idea how or where or who. I'm not going to play anybody from Pittsburgh, I don't think, because I don't want to play anybody against the Houston defense. You know what I mean? I just don't want to do it, especially with Rodgers. See, listen, one thing about Rodgers is he is very savvy back there. You know what I mean? Yeah, so listen, if he sees stuff coming, he could get out of there, you know, and he could do some stuff, obviously. But I do think it's going to be as advertised in that I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think if anybody's going to score, it's going to be Houston. Because I do have a lot of respect for C.J. Stroud, by the way. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think that's the way that game is going to go. I don't know what to say. I think it's going to be 17-16, and then Fairbairn will miss a field goal at the end. And that's it. And it's just the way it's going to be. So that's my opinion. I think from a DFS perspective, if anything, you play like – I think Houston's defense is probably going to be the chalk. So what's going to end up happening is like everybody's going to get a free 10 points when the game starts. You know, so everyone's like, whoa, look out, what happened to all my money? You know, or whoa, look, whatever it is. But that's my opinion. I think it's not a great DFS game, and that's where I am.
Not a great DFS game. I agree. I actually have like a couple plays though. Like I really like Nico Collins here at low ownership. He's expensive. It'll keep him low owned. I know they've improved drastically, but they're still one of the worst pass defenses in football. Let me just double check exactly where they are.
Oh, they're the worst.
Somehow they can be the worst and like still not give up like 10 points though. I don't understand. Like it's crazy.
You see how open these guys were for the Ravens all night? I mean,
it's crazy. I mean,
Jalen Ramsey's like finished. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that one play alone should have finished him.
Oh my God.
Flowers. That was also an incredible play by Lamar. So anyway, so Nico Collins for Showdown. I'm sure I'll do a show Monday and everything, and we'll talk about Jaden Higgins. We'll talk about Christian Kirk and Hutchinson. I do think Higgins is playable on the 6-gamer, but I like the idea of getting to Nico Collins. And if you told me this game was in Houston, I sort of go through a little bit of a Brock Purdy thing. Now Purdy's always more productive than Stroud is, but Stroud's 5,200 against a team that's 29th in pass defense.
Yeah,
maybe there's something we could do there just at low ownership. At least delay yourself a little bit, and then maybe you shift over to the more chalky stuff if you're hitting the early stuff, whatever. But I like Nico Collins. That's sort of the one I'm.
In Showdown on Monday, it will be like a big old Houston offense stack for me.
Yeah,
because I think you'll hear a lot of the stuff that I've been saying. Like when it gets down to it, when all we have is that game to worry about, I think we'll hear all this stuff about the Steelers and the Monday Night Football and all this crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you get a really bad Pittsburgh defense, and I can play Stroud with all these guys. And the real showdown take, and we'll do this Monday, is you play Houston guys without the Houston defense. Okay, because Houston defense is going to be like 100% owned.
But it's interesting that even their early projections don't have it, and I don't really know why. I guess it's just all Eagles. It just feels weird because Purdy throws some interceptions. And Patriot, I think it should be the Houston defense.
Yeah,
I don't know why it wouldn't be.
Maybe people don't want to wait. I guess
something to keep an eye on, because I think Houston defense should be the chalk. So I'm with that idea. I did want to mention on Pittsburgh's side that without the largest football man to tackle in football in Darnell Washington available, now they still have so many tight ends, but we know that Rodgers in this kind of game is also going to have to get it out quickly, and I think there are going to be a lot of quick outs to the tight ends, and there's going to be a lot of attempts at trying to get Metcalf one-on-one. So both Metcalf, Freiermuth, and then if you want a large field play or maybe a showdown play, Jonnu Smith and Connor Hayward, but Jonnu Smith especially, Freiermuth is the one though that I'm considering for the 6-game slate.
Well, for me, I would go back to Gainwell, honestly. If
As a receiver, basically, right? Like that's sort of what he's been doing that's what he can do. Because I think it's gonna be hard for them to run the ball on Houston.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I mean, like,
yeah.
And last week it was a little different. I think Warren had like the catches last week. I have no idea how or why, but nonetheless.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. But and then don't ignore Calvin Austin, especially in Showdown. But I don't think I can quite get there on the 6-gamer. I've got just real quick to go through. I mean, you've got the Nakua, the Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, the chalkier plays I like. The less chalkier ones I like. Romeo, I like Dobbs. I like Brian Thomas. Chalky again, McCaffrey I really like. I love the Philly stack. I'm interested in the Chargers receivers and trying to figure out how I want to divvy up which ones I want to get. And then I really like Nico Collins. I'm just go back to it. I don't think by the time we get to, I think when it comes to Monday night and you've got nothing left and you're down by 20 and oh wait, I've got this Nico Collins lineup right here. That could win you all the money. I really believe that's possible. So big on Nico Collins myself.
Just one other announcement, I guess, for those of you who do the Stake King stuff with us. Again, as you might imagine, it will be sent in this week. There will be Saturday slate, Sunday slate, 3-game slate, and 6 showdown slates for me. So lots of action, and that's just on DraftKings. FanDuel doesn't have like really good showdown slates this weekend. It's have like 1 game, I think.
Yeah.
So I might only play 1 over there. But yeah, I mean, we only got here's a quiz for everybody. How many games are left in the NFL? The answer is 13. Why?
Right.
Because there are 14 teams in the playoffs.
Right. That's it.
So there's only 13 games left, only 13 showdown slates left, and I'll be playing all of them. And that'll do it.
Well, let's end the NFL season strong. Sounds good. And I'll update as we get a little closer to the weekend. And then I'll work out what I'm going to do over the weekend for shows. It's going to be hard for me on Saturday morning because we're doing our family Christmas. That I know it sounds weird, but we've all been set, whatever. And then Sunday I'm obviously good for, and then I'll get something in on Saturday either way.
All right. I will. For those of you that stick around at 2:00, we're going to be doing this FPPC thing. The hardest contest to find online. But once you remember how to find it, and also the hardest one manually to enter. As far as like how to actually put your lineups in. But it is and obviously one of the weirdest scoring formats, but it's 500,000 for first. So we're gonna talk about it because I've been actually working on it. So
I'm ready for it.
We'll be there like